Hello everyone, this is Gorax and today I'm gonna show you how to deal with Chief Challenge Auster, starting from free-to-play team up to the whalish and strongest teams. I will also show you a different approach to this boss compared to what you might think is the best. And before we start, let me tell you about this testing setup, as I believe you will do way more damage than I do. So firstly, my Psychic Core will be only tier 5, some of you have unlocked tier 6, well done, and keep going. My equipment will be also baseline, there will be no elemental enhancements or tempering. So if you have any of those as well as inspirations on your heroes, you're looking at way higher damage than I did. So strategy for those of you who didn't watch previous video with the strongest team against Auster. For each debuff stack on the boss, their damage taken increases by 4% up to 60 stacks counted. So Poison team does really well here, as we can stack poison up to 40 stacks, plus with Sleight we can even apply more stacks over different poisons. After an ally resists or dispels one debuff stack, they gain one undispellable stack of 1% damage reduction. So the boss applies frost, and if we dispel it, or then we'll get this damage reduction, which is quite important. The boss will apply frost to us through his ultimate, and if he's applied frost and hits with his tracking arrows, he will gain ultimate energy. So we want to avoid that, so the boss doesn't get extra damage bonus. His battle skill will fire 3 arrows at random enemies, which can also hit our squishy heroes, ignoring 100% of their defense. So you want to stack HP instead of defense to ensure you survive long enough. His ultimate will hit in a diamond shape area, so we can avoid it if we spread our heroes to 3 in the top, 2 in the bottom, and you'll see that in the fight. However, if you don't have access to supports like Oggok or Reytah, they are the fire, they are the lightning and poison, you will need to use someone like Nathaniel or even Ihu Cattle. If you use Nathaniel, you'll need to group your heroes together to benefit from this as well as this, okay? It will be very hard to achieve that without it. So the first team I'm gonna show you is the free-to-play friendly team. I will show you the strategy. First of all, we will build Nathaniel with resistance, and we'll share the resistance to avoid getting the frost debuff. This will obviously reduce our damage, but the boss hits like track, and we will have hard time surviving even with free-to-play team. As you can see, despite having so much resistance, I still can get debuffed, and that's the difference between season 2 and season 1. In season 1, when we had enough resistance, we didn't worry about any debuffs. Maybe this is a test server only, but hopefully not. So this team, if it could survive the whole 5 minutes, you would be looking at solid damage. I would say around 100 million. Sadly, the boss once again hits like a truck. Auster does a lot of damage, and his burst is huge. Despite us having Iola, we could obviously try and time Iola at 18 seconds here and apply as much damage as possible. I'm running it totally auto, but I can show you proper timings as well that will increase the damage. However, keep in mind with the nature of Auster, it's very hard to apply attack penalty, as if you don't resist all the frost, he will gain extra ultimate energy and basically desync your team. But these are the timings you might consider, basically 12 seconds and 18 on Iola's attack penalty to cover these skills. Even if he gains a little bit of energy, you still have a little bit of time before you desync on the ultimate. Same for Nathaniel's ultimate, you can go and do it at 17, and then you can shield something around here to survive as well. And if we run this fight again, you'll notice that despite having attack penalty where we want, once he applies frost, he's just gonna go faster than 18 seconds, and we will slowly desync. This is why it's so important to start good and then obviously hope for the best. And any of the legendary poison heroes will significantly increase your total damage output, so it is worth it for free-to-play players to have Twitch, for example. Twitch is just so powerful, can build him as a powerful DPS. But yeah, the boss is still going to hurt us. Nathaniel has hard time keeping team alive, and this is why Oggok is quite mandatory in this team to survive the whole battle. But still, over 40 million damage done for free-to-play players, so you can achieve the highest tier reward here. Now, if you have Wild Team, you can use Wild Team here as well, and it will work pretty well, as Wild Team will out-damage the low poison team. Okay, so let's talk about the equipment and talents. These are the talents of Nathaniel. Equipment, 3 ears and King's Horn. We build him with Enlightenment HP, and you can add some defense, but I did add defense from previous teams as I was playing with him. We want resistance, as much resistance to share between our teams. Our second support will be Iola. We will wear Puppeteer set, and this will be the talent, extending the debuff duration, which is quite important. Our DPSs, ally with Boomerang, 4 mythics, based on Enlightenment to deal damage with poison. We need accuracy and resistance with these talents. And second DPS and main DPS, Dench will use Statue of the Serpent Deity, which is the best poison artifact. We'll use 4 mythics and we'll focus on Enlightenment, accuracy, and resistance as well, utilizing these talents. Moving on to the next hero, Lothair, we will use this strategy with Titan's Rip, increasing damage of everyone by 15%, and we need another Puppeteer set, as the poison heroes need the 18-second rotation as well. We focus on HP on him and accuracy and resistance. He's not going to be the main damage dealer. Now, if you have Oggok, but if you don't have Oggok, but have Lothair with exclusive artifact and other good heroes, you can look at something like this. The timings will be very similar. You can even put Nathaniel on default, but we will start with Iola's, which is remain, and then follow with damage dealers. After showcasing the inspiration power in the previous video, I forgot to take him off, but that's the team, and there's a neat trick for your Lothair to avoid any damage. As you know, we will need to survive a little bit longer. So what you do is, on the first ultimate of Lothair, you ensure you jump behind the boss. And you do it with any kind of a hero that has access to this ability. And now going forward, Lothair will be standing behind the boss, completely avoiding the AoE damage from the ultimate, but still prone to taking this battle skill. So keep that in mind. And now with this team, we're looking at solid DPS. But once again, remember, Lothair's exclusive artifact is not mandatory. And I'll show you the comparison between Lothair with exclusive artifact and without in the later teams. Now, sadly, Lothair does need Corin, does need a lot of poison to really do well, as this strategy does not work in the best way. We don't really have much poison applied with these heroes. You can try Corin instead of Vicana. You can try and Durango as well to help with poison applying and using Lothair as damage dealer. But without Oggok, you will be forced, at least in week 1 and probably 2, to run 2 supports. Remember, your Psychic Core will be better, your equipment and tempering will be better, so your heroes will have more HP and can survive longer than mine. Oh wow, I'm actually looking at the highest damage I ever done with this team. We're gonna hit almost 200 million if we manage to survive the next ultimate, or yeah, there we go, 200 million. So that is a huge improvement. I think when I ran it first, I just totally forgot about jumping behind the boss, because I've been running, remember, I start with the top and go to the bottom, but during this video I'm showing you the journey from the bottom to the top. So yeah, over 200 million is possible with just 3 poison heroes if you have Lothair. So that was 70 million increase. Alright, so equipment on this team. Once again, Nathaniel, exactly the same as in previous team. That's what we want on him. Iola, applying Witch's Remain and and Puppeteer set. So both of them are 18-second rotation because they are a lightning element. We built Lothair with the exclusive artifact and these talents. We will run 4 mythics and focus on enlightenment and attack. We don't need resistance, as we will avoid his ultimate completely by jumping behind the boss. Since Ayola uses Witch's Remains, we can go for statue on Twitch. If you don't have Lothair's exclusive artifact, you can use this statue on the Lothair and use Boomerang on Twitch. We want enlightenment, as much enlightenment as possible on Twitch to utilize this single target battle skill. Twitch will use Puppeteer set, as we don't have Oggok in this team. We are also using this on Ayola, and Ayola only boosts Puppeteer. Puppeteer set on Ayola only works on those 2 heroes. Twitch will cover the rest of the team. And we'll use this when he applies debuff. He will self-heal to help him with mitigation. We could also add a little more extra HP to ensure they don't die too early. And we'll have Vikana, as you can see, full on HP. She's not here to deal damage. She's built with accuracy and resistance with the Emissary Robe set to improve our damage. And these are the talents, the talents on Vikana. Forgot to mention that Twitch will also be built with accuracy and resistance. Moving on to the next team that will use Oggok, the best support for this boss. You'll see straight away that we changed the formation. And as again, I forgot to remove this inspiration from the hero. That's when I was showcasing how much damage the whole inspired team does. So what happens here is pretty simple. Let me show you the strategy. It is exactly the same as previous one, but look what's happening here. While our melee heroes are close to each other, Lothair is not affected by the ultimate. We don't need to jump behind. We can, but we don't need to, as Auster will focus the top 3 heroes that build tanky. The team will be doing around 215 million damage, which is slightly more than this one. So if you don't have Oggok, you can still do 200 million. If you have Oggok, you're looking at more damage. Skill timings with this team are slightly different, and this is the team for those who don't have Sleight, because Sleight will replace Durango. 13.5 on Immortality and then Default. We just want it to be spammed as often as possible. We'll start our rotation with Vikana, followed by Durango, who applies Witch's Remain, and then Twitch and Lothair. So in this case, Twitch will be doing DPS. Durango will apply Puppeteer set, which reduce our cooldowns from 20 seconds to 18. And Oggok will have 3-ear set, which will increase our elemental damage, as well as he will share his resistance. You want to build him with accuracy to apply attack penalty through that. If you have Inspiration 5 Oggok, you don't need to worry about accuracy. Same for Vikana and Twitch. Vikana, once again, a Emissary Staff to apply the debuffs and get us extra damage with Ribcage, which grants us extra damage. Lothair with exclusive artifact, but once again, statue works on him as well. If you put statue on him, then you put Boomerang on Twitch to get him as much enlightenment as possible, as I mentioned, and Twitch is with 4 mythics. The fight is pretty simple, pretty much the same. Obviously, this time around, we have Twitch dealing some DPS on top of Lothair, and the team is doing solid 215 million damage, which is quite below most other teams, but you will see that once you bring the right hero to the team, and that's the new exclusive, the team's damage DPS go up slightly more. So what I wanted to show as well is comparison between the DPS. We're looking at like 1 million on Lothair and 400 DPS on Twitch. You'll be able to see and compare that with what Sleight brings to the table, as that's quite cool to see if he increases the DPS of Lothair, how it changes the whole team dynamic, because those 2 heroes together do like 1.3 million DPS before we had the 200 million mark. And as you can see, Lothair very close to dying, not because of the boss's ultimate, but because of these 2 battle skills that hit random targets. So if he keeps on dying, you might consider adding extra HP through at least a rune or something to make sure that he doesn't get one-shotted by this battle skill, because that will obviously increase your DPS. And look at this, despite having Oggok with the immortality, our team is very close to dying, but that immortality at the clutch moment does really help. And I had that team noted as 215 million, but as you can see, those teams can do way more damage if they're lucky with the survivability, and if you can survive the whole battle, you're looking at good damage. Now, keep in mind, it will be only easier with the higher psychic core and tempered and enhanced equipment. Alright, so here's a crazy idea. What if we run 4 poison heroes, because we got Sleight, with Nathaniel? Well, the team can do over 224 million, depending if you can survive. If you can survive the whole battle, this will probably compete with the Oggok team, as it's pretty much the same idea. Let me quickly show you the timings. And remember, the code that I can generate on test server does not work on global, so I can't share these codes with you guys. The rotation between the DPS will be exactly the same as we had previously, but this time around we got Sleight doing the work with the damage and Twitch applying witches remain. Now keep in mind, you need to watch where is the best time to cast Lothair ultimate. I made it simple, showing you that it should happen after the 3 poison heroes, but depending on your team and how this fight plays out with your accuracy and stuff, make sure you cast Lothair's ultimate when there is the highest amount of stacks of the poison, so he can dish out the most damage. But if you're lazy, this will work for you. And then we have Nathaniel on auto with the shield as well. These are the timings. When it comes to the equipment, the only change that we've done is replacing Twitch equipment. Now he is the Witches Remain applier with the Puppeteer set. We still build him with accuracy and resistance, and we added Sleight. And so what Sleight does is he applies different poison that does count as poison, boosting the damage of Lothair quite significantly, as well as utilizing the boss mechanics. We built him with the statue of the serpent deity, and this is the equipment that we had previously. I'm just gonna play this fight to show you that once again, with Lothair in this team, with Nathaniel in the team, you need to jump, and let's just wait for Sleight to cast his ultimate and then we jump. I did it at 29 to 30 stacks, but look, if I delayed that like 1 second, I would be looking at 40 stacks of the poison and 6 stacks here. And look at the DPS of Lothair. 1.3 million, 1.5 million, almost 1.6 million, which is 600,000 DPS increase, while Sleight is doing over 200,000 DPS more than Twitch. Twitch is doing over 120,000 DPS more than Durango. So altogether, the DPS you're doing is way higher with this team. However, the issue here is we're using Nathaniel, and Nathaniel alone will have a hard time keeping this team alive. But if you remember previous fight, it can happen. We can survive the whole battle if we're lucky enough. But it's very random. We're looking at 218, and I believe it's time for our poison rats to sleep. Exactly, 222. So later in the weeks of Continental Challenge, if you can survive longer, this team is going to work quite well as well, even without Oggok. But what if you don't have poison team? What if you had a wild team that you've been building since season 1 for Temporal Vortex, and if you looked through all of my videos, you can't really use that team anywhere in Continental Challenge? Good news is you can. You can use it against Auster or Alton even, depending who is your weakest damage. You will not benefit from the boss buffs as we don't apply any stacks. We're gonna brute force through it, okay? We're gonna use the timings that we use on Temporal Vortex. For the Flora team, and we will make it happen. 230 million is what I've done with this team, which is better than most of the cheap and poison teams. But for that to work, we need Adolphus or Chrysos, if you not used Chrysos in the other team that I built. With Ancestral Protection to reduce the damage, we will need Felicity built with HP, crit rate, accuracy, and resistance. This is quite hard to achieve, but we don't need her to do damage. We'll build Caspar with HP as well. Defense is not really mandatory. It's obviously I started top and went to the bottom before I realized defense is not mandatory, so you can replace any defense percentage that I have like this one with HP percentage and add resistance. He needs to resist and he needs to be with the team that takes damage. The reason for that is you might think, oh, maybe we put Caspar here. We put Erich here. No, we built Erich with Downpipe Organ. I mean, yeah, in reality, you could put Caspar here, but still you will avoid any crit rate and crit damage where you can, and you need to build them with attack percentage as much as possible, so everywhere attack, so you can transfer this attack to Flora, because Flora will be your main damage dealer. Okay, so this is the Flora that we will build with 4 mythics, basically using my Lothair equipment. By your Flora, if you moved your Flora from season 1, and now you have like perfect equipment, so she will do even more damage, especially if you have high inspirations. We're gonna use attack aura here. I showed you the timings. Let's have a look at the fight now. The issue with this team, however, is the boss is going to hit like a truck, even more so. We will not be dealing any extra damage, because we don't have any, we are not utilizing any mechanics. But what happens here is we're just doing damage as fast as possible and getting through this boss. But once again, the issue is our Flora is very squishy. We don't build Flora with any HP, but we could. We don't build her with anything. She's just pure DPS, so her DPS is quite high, as you can see, despite not having benefits of the boss mechanics. But she might die. She might get one-shotted if the boss uses this battle skill and all 3 arrows hit her. And also, the reason why we're not building anyone with DPS is because once we get to close to 200 million, we just want Flora to pop her ultimate. And as you can see, we were quite far off. If we manage to do it at 195 million, we will jump straight to around 208 or even more, because now it's going to slow down. But still, if you manage to survive the battle, you're looking at around 230 million damage, which is more than the poison teams I showed you. Now, obviously, you can use Flora pretty much everywhere and still score 200 million. So make sure if you have Flora, try her against every boss, especially the bosses where you're lacking damage or you're lacking the heroes that are required, and you will still do well. Similar, if you have Nastienka, you'll still do well with her, probably hit 200 million on bosses such as Alton, as Alton will be one of these bosses that is the easiest to build, the easiest to strategize against, because he's so simple. So is Grishnar if you're building team around crit rate. Okay, so keep that in mind, you can use those heroes. But yeah, 229 million, which is solid. So now the team for those of you who have exclusive hero Reytah and used Oggok elsewhere. You're looking at 241 million, which is solid. As you can see, these teams, the next 3 teams, are getting close within the range of the other top teams. So Poison can still compete, especially if you manage to grab few inspirations during your journey. So with Reytah, we're pretty much using the same strategy as with everything else. The only change here is we're using Rift Hourglass on Reytah, as we will not time her. We will ensure she can cast her ultimate and utilize her talent as often as possible. We build her with accuracy and resistance. Again, focus mostly on HP, not defense, but, you know, I just transferred the equipment to show you that this team works. Everything else will be exactly the same. And then we're gonna move on to the next teams. Let me just quickly show you the timings here. That's what we do. As I mentioned, default here. Everything else is exactly the same. And when I press the button to show you how this fight looks, you'll notice that now Lothair is at the front, but he is not going to get affected by this ultimate, as it's gonna hit this gathering down there. So they need to be the most tanky heroes within this team. So I'm always surprised by how Reytah works, because despite her not having any healing in her skill tool, she applies so many debuffs that the boss is struggling. Look at that, 10 stacks on the boss now. So he's doing 2,000, over 2,000 extra damage, and he still can't kill us. We're surviving as easy as it is with Oggok, and wow, we're actually even gonna out-damage that Oggok team that I'm gonna show you in a second. So probably when I ran it previously, I was very unlucky with how Auster arrows were going and probably killed Sleight or someone else. But this is going to be the highest damage I've done with any of the teams. So yeah, Reytah is really powerful exclusive support, and this team will allow you to use Oggok in the other team that we are building, and the other team that we are building is going to do probably the most damage in the Continental challenge, which will be this team. Probably you could even try Reytah here, but I'm not 100% sure. Maybe I should try that next time. So yeah, 241 to 250 on this boss is quite good, because the next two teams will include everything that is best for this, which will be Oggok as well. Now keep in mind, those two teams are exactly the same. Just have a look at this. The only difference is I'm showing you Lothair without the exclusive artifact and Lothair with the exclusive artifact, and you can see the damage is the same. So let me show you these timings, as they are pretty much the same as we had through all these battles, and same timings in here, right? Exactly the same thing. The only difference is the artifact. And if you want to see this team in action, watch the best team against Auster video I released earlier on. It's in-depth, going over what we do and how we build this team. The strategy is exactly the same as most of the teams you've seen here. It's just we have every best tool in our arsenal to do it. And those of you who want to see how inspirations affect this team, you can also see that, as this will be quite good. Inspirations on heroes like Twitch, Vinyara and Oggok allows us to forget accuracy at all. Inspiration 5 will make it that you don't need any accuracy. So if you have those heroes at this inspiration, you're looking good. Once again, everyone, thank you for watching. If you struggle, make sure you join my Discord. There will be plenty of people helping you. I can help you as well. And thank you for watching. Stay safe. Bye.